Hey everyone, thank you for joining the first of Bravo webinars. This is an intro to Bravo and the no-code space, and I'll take you through creating a few native app screens with Bravo. I'm Christina, and I'm part of the design and product team at Bravo Studio. So to start, Bravo Studio is a no-code platform that allows people to build native mobile apps in Android and iOS from your Figma design. It's especially focused on being design first and on the ability to have complete flexibility with the design of your apps. So it uses Figma itself as the design editor for all of your apps. So you can create completely custom designs for your next project. And the no-code space is a space of tools that allow people to create full digital products from idea to delivery. And while Bravo Studio is a no-code tool itself, it's built to easily incorporate other no-code tools as well. Some of the popular ones these days are Zapier, Airtable, Typeform, which I will show you later in the demo how you can use Bravo to incorporate them into a native mobile app. And the best part about the space is that you're not siloed to use one software. In fact, you're encouraged to combine them and create a no-code stack to power your entire workflow. So on the functionality side, Bravo converts your Figma file into native app screens. It connects data from external databases like Airtable and Google Sheets with APIs to your app. And it has Bravo tags, which is a collection of text strings that you can add to your Figma file to add extra functionalities and features to a specific element on your app screen. So today I'll show you how to create a few native app screens that connect to data from Airtable and incorporate Bravo tags. So to get started, here is the Figma file that I'll be using with the design already created for the app screens that we're building today. And we're going to connect these screens to this Airtable, which has two tables in the base. We're going to connect it to this Typeform, and we're going to use some Bravo tags, which you can find in the Help Center. So to get started, I'll take you through what the screens I have in this Figma file. First, I have this menu design, which will slide in from the left. Then I have a home page, which has a list of expeditions. And what you can notice here, and I think it's the biggest difference when it comes to designing for a normal prototype versus designing for a Bravo app, is that you don't need to create all the apps and all the designs and all the pages that you want to see, because when you connect it to data in Bravo, whatever you connect to will populate itself into a list or a detail page. And then, so we have this list page and this detail page, which is connected to this list page. And we have a page where we will show a 360 view of a Google Photosphere. And then we have this page that will connect to some journal entries, because the idea of this app is a list of expeditions, and you have journals from the expedition team. And lastly, we have a page that will display a Typeform. So I will show you on this screen right here what the final app will look like before we get started. So what you're seeing right now is my phone connected to Bravo Vision, which is a previewer app that we use to test and preview all the apps that you create in Bravo before you publish them on the App Store. So this is the first list page. And as you can see, it's populated with data from the Airtable to create this list. And we also have a Lottie animation as a header. And then if I click on any of the page, it will take me to a detail page with the content relating to the list item that I clicked on. And I will click on 360 view now, and it will show me a Google Sphere, which I've connected and embedded with Airtable and the Bravo tag. And then if I go to the menu, here is my menu with also another Lottie animation at the bottom. I'll go to Journal, and you can see that the header, I've incorporated an autoplay video as the decoration. And this page is connected to journal entries, which is also from the Airtable. And if I press the plus sign, it will take me to the Typeform page where I can input my journal entry. And at the end, I will show you how this entry will automatically display right here on this page. So I will exit out of this app, and let's get started with the new one. Okay, so when you have your design created in Figma, there are a few things that you need to do before it's ready to import into Bravo. The first thing is to create containers. So containers are blocks that you create with the frame functionality in Figma. And what it does is it defines chunks of content, blocks of content on each app screen by their behavior. As you can see, I've already set up the containers on these pages. If I click here, you'll see that in the layers panel, I have the top level frame as the app screen, the entire screen itself. The second level are all containers, and these define each section of an app screen, and they separate them if they have different behavior. So for example, here, this design will stay, this section will stay static, while this section will duplicate and populate itself into a repeating list. And then the third level and below are all of my visual elements. So that is the one extra thing that you need to add into your Figma file before you import into Bravo. And to show you how it's created, for example, this page is a purely design page. And to add a container, all I need to do is to switch to the frame feature and just drag a container frame around the section of my design, and then label it container. So this is how Bravo reads your Figma file and turn them into native app screens. Now the second part is Bravo tags. It's not necessary to add Bravo tags, but if you do want to add them, you would add them before you import your Figma file. So I've pulled out a list of Bravo tags that we will use for this specific app, and you can find these Bravo tags in the Bravo Help Center. There is a master list of all the tags and functionalities that you can add to your Figma files. So the first one is a container, which we've already done. The second one is component web view. So what this does is it will embed a web view into any rectangular shape that you place in your Figma app screens. So we're going to put them right here. This will be where we displayed the Google photosphere. And I will drag this out so you can see. And this is how you place a tag into your Figma file. So for this one, we're going to leave the placeholder URL as it is, because we're going to connect this to data coming from the Airtable. And the URL that I have in the Airtable will automatically replace this placeholder URL. The next place is the type form. So same logic. I've also created a rectangle here, which is where I want the type form to be displayed. And you can make the shape however big or small as you want. You have complete freedom to decide how you want and where you want to place them. And I will take the type form URL and place that in the URL section here, because this is just one page or one element, so it won't be connected to data. So I will just manually input the URL right here. And I believe that is it. So the next tag we're going to use is the video tag, which is component video URL. And this we will place right here on this shape. And even though right now it's a image, it's just a placeholder, and it will be replaced with the video URL that I place into this, this placeholder. And I'm going to find a stock video now. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to use this video, and for the video tag, what we need is a MP4 URL. I'm going to take this URL right here and replace the placeholder 1 in my tag. And that's done. Okay, I'm going to close these. Okay, moving on to the next tag. What this tag does is let me add that right here. So what this tag does is it creates the functionality that when you do the pull down gesture on this app screen that you add the tag to, it will refresh the page. So if the page is connected to remote data, like we will connect this page to Airtable data, when I add a new journal entry, I can go back to this page, refresh the page, and the page will update with the Airtable. And the last one, or second to last, is the menu tag. This I will place on the menu itself. And what this one does is it adds a built-in animation to my menu design. So I've picked menu slide. And so whichever icon or element that I link to the menu page, it will trigger this menu design to slide in from the left. And the last but not least Bravo tag is the Lottie component. So rather than manually placing the Lottie tag into our layers panel, we've partnered with Lottie Files, and they've added the Bravo tag to their Figma plugin, which is very handy. So I'm going to make that smaller, and I will open the Lottie File plugin. So basically what this does is whatever Lottie that you add to your Figma file, in its layer name, it already has this Bravo tag component Lottie with the Lottie URL. So you don't need to manually add in the Bravo tag, and you can go crazy with your Lottie files. So I will place a animation where this blue rectangle is. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this blue rectangle for now. Okay. And we have the Lottie added here, I'm going to change the timer here so that we can see the animation itself. And then I will add it to my home screen, which is right here at the bottom. As you can see here, the layer name has a Bravo tag. So I will just do some adjustments and we're good to go. There we go. So now we have our containers, our Bravo tags. The last thing that you need to remember to do is to connect all of your screens by the prototype link with Figma, because this will control the navigation in your app. And when we have all of that, you take the sharing link of your Figma file and we can import it into Bravo. So in the Bravo Studio projects page, you click on import Figma file, paste the sharing link that you just copied. And what it's doing right now is transforming all of your Figma elements into native Android and iOS app components. And we have all of our app screens right here. So in Bravo Vision here, I will refresh. And here is the Figma file or the new Bravo projects that we just imported. And I'll show you what it looks like right now, just imported without any data connection. What you can see is that all the Bravo tags are already working. So we have the Lottie animation in the front page, although the list is not connected yet. But if I click and then you have the menu with the Lottie at the bottom and the menu animation like this. And if I go into the detail page, it looks exactly like our Figma design because it's also not connected yet to any data. And if I click the 360 view, you can see that the web page is already embedded, but it still displays the placeholder URL that we have. But that will change when we connect to the Airtable. And going into Journal, this will display the video, the stock video that I just put in with a video tag. And the last thing was the type form. And you can see that the type form is already embedded. All right, so now going into connecting to our Airtable data with API. First, we're gonna go to the data library and click New Collection. Here you can select if you want to connect a custom API, which you can put in your own request URL to retrieve data from any database that has its own API. Or you can use our API wizard to connect specifically to Airtable. So this makes it really easy for you to automatically create GET requests from Airtable. So the first step is to enter the base share link, and we're going to get that in our Airtable and copy it here. Then we need to find our API key, which is unique to each of our Airtable accounts, and that is it. So we wait for Bravo to fetch the Airtable details, and we have our GET requests automatically created. So now we can start connecting data from my Airtable into my app design. And one thing I want to point out is here you see 4 requests. So this is because Bravo automatically creates a request for both the list page and the detail page, because normally they require separate requests. So that is automatically done and saves a ton of time. And you see that there's 1 list request and 1 detail request created for each of my table in my Airtable. So going back to the app screen, I will start connecting my design to my data. The first one is the list page where we're listing out all of the expeditions. So finding the collection, then the request, which is list. And now I will add the Figma elements from my Figma file. So going back to my Figma file, I'm going to locate what I want to connect my Airtable data to. And I will also locate what I call these individual elements. So the first one is the container that encircles this card design that will populate itself into a list. So I will find that in Bravo Studio, list item. And then I'm binding it with records. So what this does is it connects the container frame with the entire array of all of your records from Airtable. Then I can go ahead and add all the other visual elements inside my container frame that I want to connect to. So that is image, continent, and place name. So going back, I will find these in Bravo Studio, image, continent, and place. So what we have here, what you're seeing here is on the left-hand side, you have your visual element. And on the right-hand side, you have your data records, and you just mix and match, and it will populate itself, and it will show in your app screen. So place name, match out with places, continent with continent, and image with image URL. This is normally what you need to look for when you connect to Airtable. It will also always display the image file as image URL or whatever you name the image column to be. So if I go into Bravo Vision now, and we're going to refresh, we can see, oh, it's already refreshed. We can see that the list is already connected. But if I tap into any of these list items, you can see it's still displaying the placeholder detail page. So that's what we're going to connect to next. So let's go back into our app screens and then find the detail page and do the same thing. But this time we're connecting it to the detail page requests. And you can see that Bravo Vision automatically detects any changes and updates as you update your Bravo Studio project. So similarly, I will find all of my visual elements in this list. And description. Okay, and match it with the data record from Airtable. All right, so we'll wait for Bravo Vision to completely update and scroll down. Let's go into a random page. Let's go to Mount Everest. And you can see that now it's populated with the record from in the row of Mount Everest. And if you can see here, if I go to my Airtable, Mount Everest, it's displaying all the data from this row. And if I go into another page, it will show the data from that page, that row. Next, we're going to connect the Google Photosphere in the virtual tour page. Also using the detail page request. And then let's go back to any page. Let's go to Dolomiti. And if I click the 360 view, it will show me the Google Sphere. Okay. And then we just have 2 more pages to connect. So the last thing is the journals page, which will display a list of the journal entries. And what it looks like is on my Airtable is this. So let's go back to Bravo Studio. Same thing. We're going to select the list for journals, add my visual elements. When you add visual elements for a list page, you need to first add you always need to add the container frame first. So I normally title them the same thing, list item, so I can find them easier. But you can add whatever you want to the list name to help you find it easier later in Bravo. You can add an asterisk, you can capitalize them, whatever you want. And then we'll add the other visual elements that's within that list frame container. So I think this time I'm going to scroll to the bottom. So we have the number of day, the mood, and the entry. Okay. And then same thing, match it up with the data record. And now I'll go to the journals page on Bravo Vision, and you can see that now it's populated with the journal entries. Something you'll notice here is that it is in random order. And this is something that Airtable does when you don't specify in your request what is the order that you want it to put into. So this is more of an advanced setup for the API library, but I will show you really quickly. So if we go back to our data collection and going to the advanced view, this is how the custom API will look like. So this is where, if you know more about APIs, you can go ahead and add in your own request URL or your own headers and parameters. So we'll go to the journal list, and this is where we'll add the custom sorts into our request URL to display our data record in a certain way. So how I want to display this page is by the chronological order of the day, from the most recent day to the earliest day. And where we find that is in Airtable, the API documentation. Let's go to the journals table, list record. And here it helps you, it's already listing out if you want to store the record by day in descending order. This is what you need to put into your request URL. So I'll just add that to my request URL. Okay, and that is saved. So if we go to Bravo Vision again and I refresh, now you can see that it is displaying by chronological descending order, starting from day 8 down to day 1. And the last part, so now we're done with our native app screen setup. The last part that I'll show you is how the typeform journal entry displays automatically into the page before. So I will add a journal entry right here. And when we go back and refresh this page, now the journal entry that I just added is automatically displayed here. And this is done by connecting my Typeform to the Airtable, which just shows this no-code stack and how you can really connect all sorts of tools together to really power an entire workflow. And they work separately by its own, but when you put them together, it's really powerful. So Typeform already has Airtable integrated, so that anything I submit into that Typeform, you see that here, this was the most recent one that I submitted, it gets added to the Airtable, and then Bravo retrieves this Airtable and displays it into your app. So to go over what we just went through, we created a design in Figma, imported that into Bravo Studio, connected to data from Airtable with APIs, and we incorporated a bunch of Bravo tags to add extra functionalities throughout our app and throughout our app screens. So if you have any questions or want to learn more, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at Bravo Studio App. Thanks for watching.